I'm 35 years old, and when I was younger, I pictured my life looking very different by this age. Thought I'd have the nice cars, a big house, plenty of money, holidays to beautiful places, a decent career, and most importantly, the freedom to do whatever I wanted when I wanted. In my head, that was success. I'd have all my problems sorted. I'd know exactly who I was. I'd have everything figured out. Because when you're 18, 35 sounds ancient. You look at people in their 30s and assume they must understand how life works. They've got jobs, houses, children, direct debits. Surely they know what they're doing. Then you get there yourself and you realize most of us are still learning as we go. I certainly am. My life doesn't look exactly how I imagined it would, but the strange thing is, I think the person I've become is actually better than the person I imagined. It just took a lot of mistakes, bad decisions, debt, difficult moments, and growing up to get here. I've always been ambitious. I've always wanted more for myself. I wanted to improve, to progress, to be good at what I did, to get at the top of my game. The problem was that when I was younger, I didn't necessarily understand what getting to the top meant. I thought it meant having things: the right car, the right clothes, money in the bank, a lifestyle people would look at and think, he's doing well for himself. I didn't think too deeply about family, fulfillment, mental health, or having a sense of purpose. I was thinking about cars, partying, holidays with the lads, and being able to buy whatever I wanted. There wasn't some carefully planned out vision for my future. I just assumed that by 35 I'd be financially comfortable, driving something expensive, and living without too many responsibilities. Life had some other ideas. In school and college, I wasn't particularly academic. I didn't get great grades. I was never the person who enjoyed sitting in a classroom, reading from a textbook and preparing for an exam. That style of learning didn't bring the best out of me. I went to college and it actually started really well. I was getting distinctions, and for a while it looked like I'd found my feet. Then I let myself go. I lost focus, I stopped applying myself properly, and eventually I realised that education in that form wasn't for me. I liked working, I liked learning by actually doing something. Give me a problem to solve, something to take apart, something technical to understand, or a skill I could practice, and I was interested. Asked me to sit in a classroom and remember information for an exam, not so much. After leaving college, I bummed around a few different jobs. I didn't have a master plan. I was just earning money and trying to work out what came next. I did a stint at Curry's, hated it, but it paid for my cheap little runaround Corsa at the time, so it served a purpose. That car probably represented freedom to me more than anything else. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't particularly impressive, but it was mine. Eventually I left Curry's because the store manager was a bully. I wasn't willing to stay somewhere and continually be treated badly just for the sake of having a job. So I went to work at the airport near me. On my first night shift, I fell asleep. Standard new guy behaviour. But to be fair, going straight into nights was always going to be a shock to the system. I think I lasted about a month before another opportunity came up. I got a job as an Apple technician. That was probably the point where my working life started to propel forward. I'd found something technical, something I was interested in, something where I could learn through experience and develop genuine skills. But even though my career was beginning to move forward personally, I was still young and stupid. I made plenty of bad decisions: cars on finance, clothes bought on credit, debt I didn't need, spending money I hadn't earned yet on things that I couldn't really afford. At the time, it felt normal. You want something, so you go get it. The monthly payment doesn't sound too bad. You convince yourself you'll deal with it later. Then all those little monthly payments start stacking up. Suddenly, a chunk of your wages disappeared before you've even had the chance to enjoy it. Looking back, I wasn't buying things because I needed them. I was buying a version of success. I wanted to look like I was doing well before I'd actually built the foundations to be doing well. I think plenty of young people fall into that trap. You want the lifestyle immediately. You want the cars, clothes, holidays before you've built the income and stability to support them. You don't see the debt, you only see the things you've bought. I'm not proud of every financial decision I made, but I also can't change any of them. All I can do is recognize what they taught me. Then at 21, I had my first child. That changed everything. Before that point, having children wasn't something I'd thought much about. It honestly hadn't crossed my mind. I was too busy thinking about myself. Cars, parties, lads' holidays, the lifestyle I believe I wanted. And suddenly there was this little person who depended on me. Life wasn't just about what I wanted anymore. I had a responsibility. I had someone to protect, someone to provide for, someone who needed me to become more focused, more determined, and more disciplined. At 21, the reality of my life looked nothing like the picture I'd had in my head when I was at college. Thought I'd have my own house, my own car, plenty of money, the ability to do whatever I wanted. Instead, I was in debt, had a child to take care of, we were living in a rented house, and I had to grow up quickly. But that wasn't the end of my freedom. It was the beginning of becoming someone better. My girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, played a massive part in getting me on the straight and narrow. I always thank her for that. She helped me become more responsible. She challenged me, she supported me, and she believed there was more in me even during periods where I probably wasn't giving her much evidence. I often talk about hard work and personal responsibility because both matter. Nobody can build your life for you, but I also know I didn't get here alone. My wife has been there through the bad financial decisions, the career changes, the stress, the uncertainty, and all the different versions of me that have existed along the way. We have grown up together, we have built something together. And when I look at my life now, I know I wouldn't be where I am without her. At 35, my life isn't perfect. I will never pretend it is. I don't think anybody's life is perfect. That is part of the beauty of it. Life is complicated and beautiful at exactly the same time. You can be grateful and still want more. You can be proud of how far you've come and still feel uncertain about where you're going. You can love your life while recognizing that certain things need to change. Those ideas can all exist together. I'm not the person I imagined I'd be when I was 18. I'm not the person I imagined I'd be at 21. I'm not even the person I thought I'd be 5 years ago. I'm still learning about myself, who I am, who I want to be, what I want to do, where I want to be. I don't have it all figured out, but I don't think that means I'm failing. It means I'm still evolving. When I was younger, success meant having a flash car. Now, I don't really care. Cars are useful. Some are nice to drive, but putting a massive amount of money into something that loses value and sits outside of the house most of the time doesn't excite me like it once did. I'd rather spend that money creating memories. Camping trips, campfires, days out, holidays, experiences with my wife and children, time with the close family friends who genuinely matter to us. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with buying a nice car. It means my priorities have changed. Things I once believed would make me happy no longer hold the same power. The older I get, the more I realize that some of the best parts of my life will never appear impressive on social media. Sitting outside the camper van with a cup of tea, having a laugh around a fire, watching my children enjoy themselves, talking properly with my wife, being surrounded by a small group of people who we feel most connected to. None of that screams wealth or status, but it feels rich. I want to say this carefully because I don't want it to sound cocky, arrogant, or self indulgent, but I am incredibly proud of where I am today. I think sometimes we're uncomfortable saying that. We're happy to talk about everything we've done, we'll criticize ourselves all day long. But when it comes to recognizing our progress, we worry people will think that we're showing off. Being proud doesn't mean you believe you're better than anybody else. It means you acknowledge what it took to get here. I'm proud because I know where I started. I know the mistakes I made. I know how irresponsible I could be. I know the debt I got myself into. I know the times I lost focus. I also know how hard I've worked. I know the changes I've made. I know what my wife and I have built together. We have two beautiful children, a decent home, and a stronger connection. Good family relationships with the people who matter. A life filled with moments I once didn't even know I wanted. That deserves to be appreciated. The person I am today is better than the one I am becoming. Not because I have more money than I thought I would, not because I have a better car or a bigger house, but because I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm someone who is still trying to improve, someone who isn't scared to talk openly about mental health, someone who's gone to counselling and tried to understand himself better, someone who is curious enough to start new things, someone who has started a podcast without knowing exactly where it would lead, someone who hasn't stopped believing that there is more to come. I'm still ambitious, that part of me hasn't disappeared, but what I'm ambitious for has changed. At 18, I thought freedom meant being able to buy whatever I wanted. At 35, freedom means something completely different. It means owning more of my life. It means becoming self-sustainable. It means building a life where one day I can decide to go to the gym at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon simply because that's when I want to go. It means being able to take a day off without waiting for a company to approve it, without checking rota patterns, without being told, sorry, you can't have that time off because it conflicts with business priorities. business priorities. That phrase says everything, doesn't it? Because a company will always have priorities, targets, deadlines, coverage, budgets, operational needs. But my priority is myself. My priority is my family. My priority is building a future where I can attend a sports day without feeling like I'm asking permission to be part of my own child's life. I don't want to be reckless. I understand that we all have responsibilities. Bills need paying, mortgages need paying, food needs putting on the table. I'm not talking about walking away from everything tomorrow and pretending consequences don't exist. I'm talking about building towards something, creating options, developing income that doesn't depend entirely on somebody else deciding where I need to be and when. That's the dream now. Not just money, control, choice, time, the ability to live rather than constantly arranging life around work. Who we are changes. We evolve. We rewrite ourselves as life happens. The person you wanted to be at 18 was created by an 18-year-old mind, a mind that hadn't experienced everything you've experienced since. That version of you hasn't dealt with parenthood, relationships, debt, grief, work stress, responsibility, failure, success, mental health. That person was working with limited information. So why should your entire life still be judged against the expectations they created? You're allowed to want something different now. You're allowed to change direction. You're allowed to decide that the dream you once chased no longer fits the person you've become. That isn't giving up. It's growth. Don't be disappointed if you're not where you thought you would be by now. You might be 25, 35, 45, or even hell 65. You might feel behind. You might look at other people and believe they've somehow completed life before you. They haven't. They're still figuring it out too. Keep working, keep improving, keep learning, keep questioning what you actually want. Not what social media tells you to want, not what your old school friends might be impressed by, not what the younger version of you assumed success would look like. Work out what matters to the person you are now. I certainly haven't figured everything out. I still don't know exactly where my career will go. I don't know where this podcast will lead. I don't know whether I'll achieve the freedom I'm working towards. But I know I'm not finished. There is more to learn, more to build, more to experience. At 35, life has become less about reaching a final destination and more about appreciating the journey. It's about creating memories, being present for my family, building a stronger relationship with my wife, watching my children grow, trying new things and continuing to develop into someone I'm proud to be. My life doesn't look exactly how I imagined it when I was younger. Thank God for that. Because the life I imagined was mostly built around possessions, appearances, and doing whatever I wanted. The life I have now is built around people, responsibility, love, growth, purpose, and memories. It's more complicated than the life I pictured, but it's also far more meaningful, and I wouldn't change that. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you follow What a Time to Be Alive for more episodes like this. Stay safe, take care, and I shall see you in the next one.